It'll only take a second to fix. Hey, what's going on tonight, guys? I had a little microphone issue there, but yeah, we are here today to speak with Matej of Phragments, a dark ambient artist that's been around for about 15 plus years now, and has some really great albums out. Probably the best known through Malignant Records. Um, he's got some releases that are some of his most known are Homo Homini Lupus and the live album Awaken the Wolves, The Burning World, Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood, New Kings and New Queens, All Towers Must Fall, the recent collaboration Fratres, and his latest album Anthems of Solitude, which was released in December of last year, and that's what we were just listening to a track from before we went live here. I first discovered Fragments around 2013 or 2014 with his Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood album, and I've been following his career pretty closely since then. His soundscapes can be something from the subdued to which even when they're subdued, they're quite often have a bit of a crushing effect to them on albums like the New Kings and Queens, and then some of the older albums like The Burning World and Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood take a much heavier direction, sort of a metal inspiration, and we'll maybe talk about a little bit of those differences this evening. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and pull Matej into chat here. Hey, how you doing tonight, Matej?
Hello, hello, Michael.
What's
Doing
up?
good. Doing good.
Cool, we
It's a
got a
bit
couple
hot over
people
here
in
in
here.
Europe,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's all good.
Do you have AC in there, or are you just working with the fan?
Yes, in fact, we do have AC in our apartment because we're a roof apartment, and we would just burn. So we have to
Yeah,
have like one unit.
yeah,
You know.
nice. So yeah, you just did a concert last Friday, so I thought it would be cool if maybe you just kind of told everybody sort of where you played and what like how that just kind of how the concert went, just to kind of get us started here tonight.
Sure, sure. So yeah, I had a concert at a festival that is called Phragments, which is now help me out. What's the English word for when you have a castle and then you have like what, reinforcements like the walls around the
I'm thinking like ramparts, maybe. I'm not
maybe.
quite sure.
So yeah, like ramparts of solitude.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's the name of the festival, and yeah, it's a really great festival. It's been going on for 10 years now. And this was the tenth year, and the focus of the festival is always to play at castles. They're a bit like in desolate state, and just focus attention of the public on the on the castles, and they become venues, and it's always really cool. And there's a lot of things to see and experience. Always there's a lot, also like a lot of art. Um, yeah, displayed like statues and like multimedia installations and stuff. So it's really rich, and yeah, the concert was amazing. It was really amazing.
Nice.
It
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how was the crowd? Did it seem like people are ready to get back into the concert going situation after this last year and a half or so, or was it kind of sparse? Do people seem like they were, yeah, well, did it seem like there was a lot of people ready to get going again?
Yes, totally. And this is it's a special type of festival. Like you go there only if you really want to, and you just go there to experience. There is like not one visitor that would be by accident there or by chance, So you know about the festival, you know what it's about, and you know what to expect, approximately. And so the people who go there, they they have a good time, and they experience, and they are so sort of attuned to what's going on there. And yes, everyone was like, let's do this, because Delta is on the way,
Yeah.
like the next COVID
Mm,
thing. So I think it's like we better use the opportunity
exactly.
and have some fun before we end up in lockdown again, which I hope we will not, but I think we will. Anyway, COVID aside, uh, it's a really nice festival. Like the atmosphere is excellent, and it's quite diverse in terms of genre. Like it's not everything is ambient. Obviously, there's a couple of ambient acts or dark ambient acts, and there's quite a lot of noise. There is even like um, you know beat-oriented music, like beat-driven, in terms of like hardcore techno, but like
Nice.
really, 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 really brutal. And it's fun. And the stage that I was playing on was outdoors, so this helped a lot. And there was, I think, probably like around 200 people,
Oh, nice.
as
Yeah,
far as I
that's a
could
good
see.
crowd. That's a good
Yeah,
crowd.
that's a good crowd, and people actually like there were people who knew some of the songs,
Awesome.
which was cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm I'm always stressing before I play live. I was playing live since maybe like 2000 fucking 8 or something.
Yeah.
Even sooner, 2006, and it's still the same. Like I still have like stomach pain, and just I feel like a student. So
Yeah. Yeah, well,
like
that's cool.
but in the end, like as soon as I start playing, everything goes away, and everything is perfect. And I concentrate, and I go into this kind of like a trance-like state, and then afterwards it's like pure endorphins, man. It's amazing. So
That's awesome.
yes.
Were you focused on many of your newer tracks, or were you said that people knew some of the songs? Were you playing some of the real older stuff too, or did you kind of mix it up a little bit?
Was kind of half half. I went for the I started with songs from the last album, from Anthems of Solitude, and then I also played a couple from All Towers Must Fall. So the last two albums actually,
Awesome. Awesome.
excluding Fratres, because Fratres is a
Yeah,
special
yeah,
one
you wouldn't want to do that one by
collection.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so while we're still kind of on the topic of concerts here, I don't expect you to necessarily remember the specific names. If you do, that's cool. But what are some of the cooler places that you've played in in the past, and why were they so cool as a dark ambient musician to you?
Okay. Okay. So one of the things that I really really love about dark ambient is that people tend to get creative, and especially the crew around this festival that I mentioned. I mean, through them, I got to play in a Renaissance castle. I got to play in a I we played a really cool illegal concert at this like maybe 17th century monastery,
Oh shit,
uh,
that's
but
cool.
it's abandoned because the church doesn't care,
Hmm.
and it's really falling apart. Okay, so it was life threatening.
Oh wow,
It was no joke, and it
especially when
was
you get
really
all that
cool.
bass going.
Yes, exactly. So everyone was like, "Please don't fall, don't fall." But it was really awesome. Like the atmosphere was amazing, amazing. So I really enjoy to place those places because they have a it's complicated, but they have this memory. They have this memory, and it's not always nice memories, I'd say. So I also played in a World War II kind of like an underground bunker that
Yeah.
was first used like here in Bratislava. That was first used by the Nazis. Then it was used by the communists for torture. Both
Oh
used it for
wow,
torture,
wow.
yeah, of
Oh
prisoners.
shit,
And I was
that's
playing there.
intense.
Yeah, yeah, and that was very intense.
Wow,
Like
that's some serious life to that,
yeah,
or
yeah,
death.
and it was really really intense, and I enjoy it not for the sake of it being extreme, just
Hmm.
for the sake of it having this special aura of things happen there, and that's and you can, I mean, you can kind of feel it, you know.
Yeah, there's going to be some intense energies in a place like
Yeah,
that. That's insane.
yeah. So I played that, and I played just outdoors in several places, and I mean, I also enjoy playing clubs. Don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but it's nothing compared to this. You know, this is like like a festivity. You know, it's like it's like a ritual. It's something else,
Yeah, it's more
something
than just
special.
kind of standing there listening to music. You feel like you're part of something that's
Totally,
happening.
totally. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Nice. Um, yeah, so do you when you're listening to dark ambient music, whether it's your own that you're working with or it's somebody else's, do you listen mostly as an active listen, or do you listen to it passively, like while you're reading or driving around or anything like that? Like, or can it go back and forth for you? What's sort of the best way to you?
Um, Actually, both, both.
Nice.
I also listen to dark ambient while working very often, but then again, I listen to a lot of music while working. Um, and then when I have time, I listen actively. Usually, I listen actively when I walk from somewhere to somewhere else. Um, I don't listen to dark ambient when I drive. Very, very rarely. Rarely. I prefer to listen to metal when I drive. And
Hmm.
of course, you know, mostly I drive with my kids, so we listen to fairy tales.
Oh, that's
So I've
cool.
been listening to, yeah, I've been listening to fairy tales for what, 7.5 years now, mostly. So, but that's okay. It's still better than um, funk. So
Yeah. um, well, so before we get too far away from the live topic, I read your interview with Danica before we did this today because I thought, there'd be a lot to learn in there and I could maybe expand on some of those things that you said there. I was really interested in the sleep concert that you did,
yeah,
and I wonder if you could kind of tell us like how a sleep concert works, and
okay,
what made that so nice for you, maybe.
okay. So I played a sleep concert. Okay, I always wanted to play a sleep concert. So a sleep concert is basically a concert where the the, the attendees or the listeners sleep or just drift off, and it's with the intention for them to get into these altered states and to experience, to perceive the music in these altered states. So, and that's amazing because that's a completely different, level of listening. So people bring their sleeping bags and bring some food and some drinks, and they just lay down and they drift off on the music, and it's so cool. That's so, I mean, that's, I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to organize something like this, but I was kind of not into it, not into organizing, because I've organized concerts before, and that's just stress, and you have nothing from that as the organizer. Like, you don't really get to have the experience. Like, you do have some endorphins, of course, because you made something great for a lot of people, if nothing fucks up, obviously.
Yeah.
But still, it's like it's not, it's just not there. It's so stressful that it's just not, you can't really enjoy the music. So I decided not to do this sleep concert. But then, luckily, there were people here in my hometown of Bratislava, Slovakia, where that organized sleep concert, and I was invited, and I was so happy, and we played. Sorry, we played like maybe an hour long set, and it was a fragment set, but it was very kind of mellow.
Yeah, I think
Like,
you'd
we
have to
went,
modify quite a few of your songs
yeah,
to kind of
me,
down tempo them a little bit. No, not
totally,
tempo,
totally,
but
yeah, yeah,
down the
not
energy a bit.
like nothing abrasive,
Yeah.
no abrasive sounds, no noisy elements. And we prepared a special set, and it was really slow. And as I mentioned in the interview, I remember now, basically, what was really cool that I could play as slow and boring as I wanted, for once,
Yeah.
because there were no expectations whatsoever.
Hmm.
And it's actually better to play boring, to play slow, to play extremely uninteresting music, because it basically becomes a coloring of the room. It becomes something, something in the background that, of course, it's like lighting, like if you light something with red, or if you light something with blue, it gets a completely different emotion. And this is similar. So you just light the room in a certain way, and you make the people feel a certain way, and that's just really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like it would be a little bit different for like the very first person of the night, or do people kind of like come and go, or is it sort of like you get everybody in there and you lock them in and tell them shut the fuck up?
Yeah, you definitely don't lock them in, but once again, people know what they are getting into.
Yeah, so they were all
So
playing
they
nicely. You don't have anybody
exactly
that decided to be like
no
drunken assholes or anything like that.
no
That's
no
good.
no
That's great.
very I have to say very little alcohol there,
Good,
just
good.
enough to just make people sleep, and of course also if people are hungry, then they walk really slowly outside, and they eat their food, and then they come back really just quietly and slowly, and it's really nice. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
there's an atmosphere of respect, I have to say, and kindness,
Yeah.
because it's a different experience. It's more of a common experience, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, everybody's doing the same activity, and you're all focused on just relaxing. And if everybody, if it's like a real concert setting, everybody's going to sort of be all over the place.
Yeah.
um, Dark ambient as sleep music is incredibly important to me. I mean, since I discovered the genre, I listen to dark ambient almost every single night that I've went to sleep since I found the genre. I have particular favorites, but it can change quite widely. And I was thinking, I mean, tonight this is our first live interview, and I'm hoping to do potentially at some point in the future live performances. And it had occurred to me while I was reading that interview on Endarkenment on Substack of Danica Swanson's that everybody should go check that out as well, and just check out all of her other really nice interviews that she's done over there.
Yeah, shout out to Danica.
Yeah, shout out to
She's
Danica. She's got real
yeah,
great work over
really,
there.
really, yeah. I really like what she's doing. Yeah,
But yeah, I was thinking while I was reading that it could be really cool if I could like line up like ten or so different dark ambient musicians and just kind of like literally do like a live Twitch streamed sleep concert where it's like just put this thing on before you go to bed at night and we'll be here when you wake up. I think that could be a really fun and
yeah. I'm so taking part on that.
yeah, yeah. I'm
Totally,
I, I'm more than happy to have you and any
totally.
other dark ambient musicians in chat that think this is a cool idea, or people that are watching this at a later hour or date. Yeah, just hit me up and we'll see if we can make something like that happen. Yeah, Danica loves the idea. Awesome. While I'm sort of just talking here a little bit in between our questions, if anybody that's watching wants to drop any questions for Matej into chat, that would be pretty awesome. I definitely
Yes,
have
please.
I have some more questions here for him myself, but I think it would be the most fun to get you guys involved too. Any kind of questions, don't be an asshole. Aside from that, anything is cool. um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, I love that sleep concert idea, and I've just been incredibly jealous that one hasn't come close to me yet. That's at the top of the list for me if I can get to something like that. I'm a bad sleeper though, so it would be really interesting for me to see how it goes. But yeah, just that idea of being able to focus on some really nice music as the last thing that you hear when you go to sleep at night, and then just it's still there when you wake up. There's some
Yeah,
level of comfort to that. Sometimes I just put on one song, and sometimes I'll put on a whole album. It's especially impactful if you're only using one song, because you just got that 4 minutes over and over and over again throughout the entire night, and then it's like you're waking up in a warm, dark ambient glove.
Yeah,
So I wanted to talk about your own label here a little bit because
sure.
I don't really know much about it. I always just kind of thought about you as a Malignant artist, and then as I was looking back through everything today, I'm like, no, he's actually either a lot of these have done as like sort of like a co-production, or I believe your most recent one was done just by you, right? There
Yeah,
wasn't any partnership with any other labels on the
no,
most recent album, right?
no,
So yeah, if you could just talk about your
sure.
label a little bit and the connections to like why you decided to work with maybe Malignant or any of those other
Sure.
labels along the way and how it all interconnects with each other.
Ooh, that's a long story, but I'll try to be brief.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got
We have
time.
time. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be here until like whatever 4 a.m. European time. Anyway,
I'll sit
I
back
don't
in
I
my
don't
chair
mind.
then.
I don't mind. Anyway, so it was the year 2002. Yeah, in 2002, I basically started more or less. I started Fragments, and I wanted to release. I was very much into industrial, and I was and then the industrial scene was kind of beginning here in my town, and yeah, was a couple of artists that I was friends with, and just I was going to their concerts, and they came to my concerts, and we basically decided. Well, I decided to do a compilation, and the compilation was called Nausea or Nausea, and it was a compilation of Slovak industrial slash noise slash whatever extreme
Nice.
electronics, and it had a perfect packaging. It was packaged into. Check it out on Discogs afterwards. It was packaged in this like one kilo, like in between two metal plates and rubber, and just you had to like screw it. I have it
Oh,
somewhere
that sounds
somewhere
awesome.
back. It's really awesome. It was really really cool. It's actually, yeah, I think it's almost 20 years later, so I can say this. It's that the cover was made from Volkswagen's SUV doors, like the the trash material from that,
Yeah.
and we got it cheap somehow. I don't know, yeah, somehow. And yeah, so this was really exciting, and that's how Construct Destroy Collective, which is the name of my label, was born. And I released, I think, like 12 releases over a couple of years, and this was extremely DIY, and I was having a lot of fun with like cutting out the covers and just using different materials and using stamps, and it was quite punk slash DIY approach. Wasn't anything like on a professional level like Oral Hypnox releases or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was still nice, and it was hand numbered, and it had the passion. So, and then I just decided to. I didn't really decide. It just somehow happened that I didn't release anything else for years, and then I revived the label just for the sake. I'm not releasing anyone else, but I do co-release or release my own stuff. I also released, I don't know if you know the Bulgarian extremely cool dark ambient project, Abandoned Shelter.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm familiar with them.
so I released Yersinia Pestis, which is, I believe, his second or third album on Construct Destroy Collective. That is an amazing sacral dark ambient, really really cool, really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone check that out. It's really cool. Not because I released it, it's really really cool. Um, So, and how I got to Malignant, basically, when I had Construct Destroy Collective, I obviously wanted to trade stuff for the stuff to go away, because there was the scene here was like maybe 30, 40 people. And there was a scene in the world in many different countries. So it was a bit like, metalheads always talk about the golden age of tape trading.
Yeah.
Uh, when you had to wait for cassettes to be shipped from Sweden to the US or to Canada or something like that. So this was kind of the same, but it was CDs, but it was still in the same vein. And yeah, and I got in contact with Jason Mantis from Malignant Records, and we traded several releases, and then I just asked him, I sent him the demo of Earth Shall Not Color Their Blood, and he loved it, and so we decided to release it on Malignant, and that's how I got on Malignant, and then
Jason has
yeah,
good taste.
oh yes, oh, yes. I really love Jason.
Yeah.
He's
I
a really
haven't
cool.
talked to him in person, but he seems like a really, really
Nah,
nice guy.
neither have I. Neither have I.
Yeah.
But I still love him. Uh, anyway, and then with my last album, well, basically, I mean, I don't wanna discuss Malignant Matters, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but
sure.
the lead has almost died. Like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's that's yeah, you don't have to say anything behind the scenes, but that there is very much public information that, he posted on Facebook there two
Yeah,
years ago that I remember seeing. We all saw the post and we were all like, "Holy shit, man. Like everybody
yeah,
go buy stuff. Like this can't
yeah.
happen. This cannot happen." So, um
And people went and bought stuff
yeah,
actually,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
that
yeah,
was really cool.
that's yeah,
And
that's what the community, needs to do when times like that come. And
exactly.
I know I was like, look, guys, like there's a time and a place to save money, and when one of your favorite record labels is telling you, I'm not making ends meet on this thing, it's becoming either not viable or not worth it, whatever it may be. I don't need to know. I don't know what the actual thing is behind the scenes at all. All I know is what he said in public, and I know I was pushing people like, get over there and buy shit now, because you can save your money again next month, but this month you need to get to Malignant.
Cool.
And
That's I
I brought
appreciate
up
that.
their distro there in the stream the other day. I like to mention their distro whenever because it's a
Yeah,
really, I've picked up so much music through their distro, not
yeah,
only Malignant releases, but
sure.
and to anybody that might not know, I don't know if he does it anymore, but there a while back he had some real nice bundles. You could pick up like a chunk of Malignant albums for a real decent price. So
Totally.
I
And
was always going over there
they are
picking up packages of
fucking
Malignant.
gems.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
all of it,
gems.
all of it.
Like the Yen Box releases.
Oh my
That's
god.
like that's ultimate for me. Yen Box was one of the projects that made me do what I do now. Okay.
Excellent.
It was like there's Dairy Marginis and then probably Yen Box. That was like, fuck, I have to do this. And it's still so dark, so dark, so crushing in a way, and so original. So you just yeah, go check out Malignant, definitely.
Yeah, well,
So
while you're on that, well, go ahead and say
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you're saying
I
there.
just I just want to finish. It's not gonna take long. Basically, I decided myself to do, because I mean, let's face it, CDs are practically dead.
Yeah,
Okay, I
I
know
don't
it's
have a
not.
CD player in my car anymore, and I fucking hate it. I got a new car, and it's like,
Yeah,
where do I put the CD? There's no CD player. What the fuck? It's really
this
sad.
man,
I used to
this
listen to
man,
your
and
I used to listen to your
mm,
albums a lot while I was
mm,
driving. Your
yeah,
older, heavier ones in
yeah,
particular, because as you say, especially like I mentioned in a stream the other day, I cannot listen to Oral Hypnox releases while I'm driving. It's on for like 10 seconds and I start like, I'm gonna run my car into a fucking tree. I've got to turn this
yeah,
off. Like my head just goes foggy.
yeah, yeah, totally. So I basically decided to do 111 copies of like CDs, and then 111 vinyls,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and and I was like, why don't I do it myself? because it was intriguing. Like it's a lot of work. Okay, if you are self-releasing or if you have a label and you release your own stuff on that label, but still it's kind of fun and it's kind of there's it's rewarding. Okay, so I wanted to try that out once again, after fucking 13 years. um, and it went really great. Although I have not released the vinyl, I ended up not releasing the vinyl because I just yeah, it's a sad story. The company that was producing the vinyl, they had a really bad pressing plant in France, and they did a bad job, and they sent the test pressings, and they sucked. It
Oh
was really
no.
horrible, and I ended up basically and it ended up horribly. Like I basically pressed them to giving back my money, because I told them I was going to sue them. I never told this to anyone before, but I had to because this was really like it was a bad situation,
Yeah, you,
and I
you
was
can't you can't let
so
that whole
tired.
negativity just pass out across every single person that
Yeah,
buys an album from you. That's a
yeah,
horrible way to
exactly,
go. So yeah, I mean, if you're a
exactly.
vine, and I've heard this from so many label owners that have said, I was going to do this on vinyl or it was going to be released on this date, and then it seems to always go wrong when it comes to vinyl. Like
It's
I don't
tricky.
understand what's going on with these companies. There's so many of them out there that people, they buy something
I,
from them and they're like, "Dude, this is trash. I can't sell this to my fans. That this is not going to be cool." And some
I
people
don't know.
just do. Some people get forced into doing it anyway. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if you had to stand up, you did the right thing for all
yeah,
of the people that would have been buying it, and then putting that negativity on you instead of they don't know
yeah,
where it came from. They'd have thought you
yeah.
made a piece of trash. So
And I
yeah,
just don't want to. I'm and like I'm not a perfectionist, but when it comes to my music, I cherish that, and I tend to be a perfectionist
it has to be that
because I
way.
love it.
Yeah, it has to be
So, and
that way
that's
when it
where my
comes to your
heart goes. It,
releases.
it has to be at least as good as I intended it to be. So I had to cancel that, and I was so tired that even if I got the money, I mean, I did get the money back, but I wasn't ready to go through this through this
Mm-hmm.
process again,
Yeah,
with like a different company. So I just said, "Fuck it," I returned the money to the lovely people that pre-ordered the album, and maybe in the future, if there's going to be interest, I'm gonna really release it on vinyl as well, in like a really small edition, or not. I don't know. But my next album is definitely gonna be on vinyl, but this time it has to be different. It has to be a different company.
yeah, that sounds like the right thing to do there. Yeah, I mean, I have your last Malignant release on vinyl, and I
Yeah,
I love, especially again, that's why I love Malignant because I live like just south of Baltimore and his shop is
yeah,
just north of Baltimore, so I buy something from him and it's like $3 shipping for like a huge package, and anybody else is
nice.
God only knows how much you guys have to pay to get it overseas or across the country, but mine's here like by the end of the week and it's like nothing in shipping costs. So
Nice,
um
nice.
yeah, so I'm always happy to pick up my vinyls from them. um yeah, okay, so that was I don't want to cut you off before you're finished. That was all you had to say on
Yeah,
that whole situation, right? Okay, so
yeah,
let me go ahead and read this question to you here before we
sure,
move any further.
sure.
Fenazord 3000 asks you, Matej, you mentioned Yen Pox and Desideri Marginis. Love them both. Have you had any experience with Klaus Schulz or early Tangerine Dream or Pete Namlook? These people could kind of introduced me to dark ambient.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Please, people, more questions. We want to get questions from the audience. Please, please. Yes, totally. I know Klaus Schultz. I'm not really familiar with everything he has done. He has done a lot. I've heard some stuff. I can't say I'm a fan per se. Tangerine. I mean, I do like it. It's just it's not on my radar. Hasn't been, but I might check out more things from him. Um, Tangerine Dream, yes and no. It's a bit um, too kind of sweet for me, like just not dark enough in a way. Pete Namlock, definitely yes, especially what he did with Gary Jensen of Biosphere. Definitely yes. I love his output. Yeah. So yes, totally.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, and as he said, anybody else that wants to throw some questions into chat, that would be really cool.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely he's Fenazord said Biosphere with a heart.
Yes,
And
Biosphere. Oh,
yeah,
I fucking
I
love
love
Biosphere.
Biosphere also. I think yeah, we
Yeah.
probably that's probably one where we can all agree that we do love that.
Yes.
All right, we
Yes.
have a okay, I'll finish he just made another comment here. He says early Tangerine Dream, Phaedra, Rubicon, Ricochet, the early years is what they liked.
Okay.
And then Danica says she has a question. Who are some of your favorite dark ambient artists besides Yen Pax and Desideri Marginus? And before you go any further with that, that was also going to be the next question I was going to ask you. So, yeah, like what's it, along with her
Jesus.
question of that, like what sort of were the heavy hitters that got you into it, and what were you feeling in their music that just really brought you into this thing?
Okay. Okay. So that's a lovely question. Thank you, Danica. It's also a horrible question. Okay. It's like fucking Sophie's Choice. Okay. I You see, I love dark ambient. I love obviously the music I do. I mean, you gotta love what you do.
Yep, sure.
I kind of also like listening to my albums as long as it's not the last one, because I've spent tons and tons of time listening to that. And then maybe a year or 2 years later after I put it out, I can listen to that more. But like other artists, there is a okay. So let's start with labels. Okay, that's I
Yeah,
think
sure, definitely.
that's me. Okay, so Cold Meat Industry
Hell yeah.
is God. That's the ultimate. Okay, that's like the ultimate thing for me. Also Malignant, Cyclic Law, um, and then Oral Hypnox as well. That's maybe like the the basic kind of group of labels that I love in terms of dark ambient. I also love Lustmord, although he's complicated.
Agreed.
Um, but
People
I
might know my opinion on Mort. It's not.
but I
I love his music. I hate him as a
yeah,
person.
it, totally,
I'll
yeah.
say
I
that
mean
for anybody else that might not want to. Love his music. Hate
he's
him as a person.
he's complicated and he's just yeah, he's peculiar. And I I mean, and when it comes to artists, okay, so definitely, um, so pure dark ambient. Yeah, I love this Derry Margins. I love Resin Detra. I love Yen Fox, underlined 4 times.
Yeah.
I love just lots of things. It's like things are going.
Yeah, it's. I know
You
it's
know,
hard to. It's hard to just
uh,
like recall them all in your head.
I love Ron, the Nakrasti. It's
Oh yeah, that's a old classic. The
that's
RAAN with the lines in
yes,
between each
and I
letter.
just
That
yeah,
was
I
one. Yeah, that was
discovered
one of the
it.
first ones that I heard.
I discovered it only like 3 years ago.
No, oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was one of
know.
the first ones I heard, and I only came in like
Somehow,
2012, so I was late also.
somehow it totally went out under my radar, and I'm so happy I discovered it. I also love Nurizen Throne, obviously.
Hell yeah.
Obviously, who doesn't love Nurizen,
Hell yeah.
Nurizen Throne? Fucking, I mean, yeah, that's a classic.
Especially their I
Uh,
fucking love their new album, The Outside. That shit is real good.
yeah. But I also love the old ones. I even love the split that he did with I think wait
While you're thinking there, you
let,
can keep going with
shit.
the same question, with the same answer, but just to
So
add into it.
Prophets from the Abyss. Neurosense Throne and Locust Rain. I love that album. That's like 2005. It's really really old.
Nice.
Also, let me just cheat a bit, okay? I'm old. I don't need to remember
Oh, I
everything.
know. That's the hard thing for me now that I'm streaming. Nobody sees me when I'm sitting here for 20 minutes like, what was the name of that project? What was the name of that album? And I'm like searching around on Discogs, and then somebody's like, what do
Yeah.
you think about this? And I'm like, oh, I love it, but I can't remember what it's called. You,
Okay. I really really love Mind Spawn, and that's like a best kept secret.
oh, yeah.
Gene is also a buddy of mine, and we've worked together on music, and I mean I really like the guy, and I really like his music. So Mind Spawn is a definite yes. And in terms of cyclic law, where to begin? I mean from Alcides to I mean, most of their catalog.
It's almost
Most,
easier to ask
most
you what you don't like on Cyclic.
exactly.
I
Oh,
don't want you to answer necessarily, but
listen, no, listen. Ammon. I really love Ammon.
nice.
It's Andrea Maruti, I think, Italian project. Really, really cool. I really love the El Kella album. It's Egyptian themed. Really amazing stuff. He also released a remaster a couple of years ago. Yeah, everybody get that. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm such a fanboy now, but I love that. I really really love that. I must not forget another buddy of mine, Robert Sletsky, with Apocryphus.
Oh, I fucking love his music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean the Stone Speak album just fucking
Stones, that's
it's
what I was gonna
it's
say,
so
man. That first track on Stone Speak is fucking brutal. I
fucking amazing. Yeah,
I
bad boys.
I had not had any well, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this. I had not had any mind-altering experiences in like a year.
Yeah,
And I was listening to I heard Stone Speak for the first time on a night that I did have a mind-altering experience, and that first track came on and I was just like, "Oh my God, I can't handle this right now." Like that shit
yeah,
is just
strong,
crushingly dark.
really strong. Yeah, really, really
Yeah,
strong.
man.
I love it.
Robert is a he's a really
Yeah,
nice guy too.
and Robert is really really nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
he's also
actually
really,
been
really
able
nice.
to meet him in person twice now. I met him.
Seriously,
Yeah, I met him
I
at
haven't.
a concert up. I think it was at the one in Cleveland, and
Okay,
then he came down to Baltimore, and I met him for lunch one time. And yeah,
nice.
he's I mean he's like oppressively depressive kind of person. But he is also incredibly kind.
Yeah, yeah,
So
totally.
somebody
Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I have to continue. I have to
For sure,
continue.
for sure.
This is like the 13th chamber has been opened, and now I have to name them all. City's last fucking broadcast.
Hell yeah.
Okay, or like Pear and his stuff. Love that.
The whole Hypnagoga situation,
Love that. Yeah,
everything
we
on
don't have to
Hypnagoga
discuss that,
Press.
right?
What's that?
It's we don't have to discuss that, right? It's like really the whole thing is just really awesome,
Yeah.
right? Like basically anything he touches turns to gold. So and he's going to hate that. He's going to hate to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying the other day, I don't know if it was to you or just generally to chat, but when people release like 15 different side projects, I get 100% lost.
Yeah,
Everything starts to melt into each other. What was the name of this project? What year did that happen in? What order did it happen in? For whatever reason with his releases, it's just as soon as one comes on random, it's like that's this project, that's this album.
yeah,
It's
totally.
always just it's all categorized out perfectly in my head. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good friend, but he's tops on dark ambient. I
Oh,
loved his music before I ever
yeah,
had a conversation with the guy.
yeah, yeah. Also, this is one of my favorites. Herbst 9, Herbst 9.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's actually Herbst 9, but whatever. That's in German. It's one of my top dark ambient acts. Definitely, definitely. That's really awesome. Also innate. I mean, but that's also it's like a different league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's about it. I mean, I could Bloodbox, you know,
Oh yeah.
the Yenbox side project. I fucking love that. It's there's too much, man. There's just too much. Chaos as Shelter, the first albums, the Israeli project, awesome, totally awesome. Um, there's too much. I should have I should have picked lesser known things. Yeah. Anyway,
Somebody asked you, what was the album that specifically made you think, yes, this is what I would love to do? Like, which album made you say, I have to make dark ambient now? Like, I have
so,
to get on this
so
level.
I totally know the answer to that question, and thank you for the question.
This was Thine
Um,
Angel that asked.
okay, so it's this Derry Margulies Songs Over Ruins, the
Hell yeah.
debut, and then Yen Fox New Dark Age. That's
Nice.
it. That's still like that's just can't top that in terms of like anxiety inducing fucking darkness. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know how they could have composed that even. You know, it's but I just love the album. I can't listen to it often. Like it doesn't induce anxiety to me, but it's really yeah. We've used the term crushing a lot today, but it is definitely kind of crushing. It's just so dark, and I love that.
Yeah,
I just
there
love
seems like
dark.
there's so many layers to it. Like there's
Totally.
so
Yeah.
much that's happening at the same time that it just really just gets into you.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
So a couple of people were asking just like a couple different bands. Like, how do you are you a fan of Philios? Have you ever met
Yes.
Martin?
Martin. I have not met Martin personally, but yeah, we've corresponded years ago. And yes, I'm a fan of Phileas, although I'm more a fan of his old albums.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
you mean like the
like the
still on
first
Cyclic Law, but the older
like
ones.
the first two or something, three.
Yeah, I agree. I have those albums as well. And then he's also part of the Sparsex project that's the more space ambient with
Yes, yes, I love that project.
Christian, I can't remember Christian's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
last name off the top of
yeah.
my head. And
Yeah.
his
I do.
Phobos Festival, Martin
I mean,
Sturzer's Phobos Festival is a pretty epic situation over there in Wuppertal, if I'm
I'd
pronouncing
love
that
to see that
correctly.
in the
Probably
church.
not.
That's exactly my shit.
Hell yeah.
Exactly, like
Yeah, yeah.
weird, weird place, awesome everything, and of course he's German, so it has to be perfect, and that's so good, in terms of like he really takes care of the people. I mean, I only know that secondhand, but he's everyone comes from the festival like they came from a spa. It's like really relaxed, and everything was perfect, and everything was right on time, and etc etc. So yeah, that's I'd love to see that. I'd love to experience that.
And then I guess while we're just sort of name dropping bands here, because I do want to get people's different comments in. They were Fenazord was also asking how you felt about we got two different cryo chamber artists here, Drani Darko and Ugashania.
Okay.
Before you answer, I fucking love Ugashania. That is one of my favorite dark ambient projects. That winter shit with all that wind, man. I love that shit.
Okay. Okay. So basically, most of the cinematic stuff
Mhm.
uh, kind of goes around me.
Yeah, not really your
Like
cup of tea necessarily.
I'm more this like old school dark ambient person.
Yeah, I can
Like
understand that. You lean
there's
more
just
into the industrial sort of
too
edge of
much
it.
narrative, too much narrative stuff going on, and too much sounds that I know the source of. And but I totally get the appeal of the genre, or the subgenre.
Hmm.
Okay, it's just not necessarily for me. I do love Atrium Carceri, definitely,
Yeah, hell yeah.
and I do love City's Last broadcast. I really like Johnny Darko as a person from what I've experienced in interviews and stuff. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Uh, yeah, yeah, and I did enjoy some of his output. Uh, and I do like Ugasenye quite a bit from what I've heard, but it's not something that I would come back to, like return to. It's like always when there is a new album, I listen to it and I do enjoy it.
Hmm.
It's just that I don't necessarily return to it. What I do return to from the cryo chamber roster, except of the acts that I've already mentioned, is definitely Northumbria.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's kind of I don't really understand it because it's also quite light, for my taste, but
Hmm.
somehow it hits the nerve.
Well, they basically do everything with a guitar and bass drone.
I know.
So
Yeah,
I
I know.
feel like that their way of doing it kind of leans into your more metal driven sensibilities there
But I
on like a
don't but I don't
subconscious
hear
level.
it. But I
No, I'm
don't,
saying
yeah,
I think
more
it's like
more
on a
more on a
subconscious
subconscious
level.
level, because I really don't hear it. I really don't hear it. And I'm happy that I don't hear it, because I don't necessarily love guitar in dark ambient. I have to say that's not something that I enjoy. Yeah, I'm a purist. I'm the old school purist.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just reading through everybody else's
Sure.
messages here and seeing if we had any other questions. Um, yeah. Everybody seems to be agreeing with you on these things. Oh, we have a question here from Oystergaards. I hopefully I'm pronouncing your project's name. I think it's Oostergaards or Oystergaards. I'm not quite sure which one of the two. He says, "I'm curious
Uh,
about how to create your music. How you create your music. Are you a
okay.
hardware or a software type of guy, or a mix of the two?" I didn't have that question written down, but that was one I kind of wanted to ask you as well.
Okay. So first of all, Östergaards. Hey, I really love your output.
We were talking
We've
about you before
discussed
the
this.
stream
Yeah,
started.
yeah. We were talking about you right before the stream. I really like what you do. I discovered your music not long ago, and it's really something that I enjoy. It's really close to the cold meat sound in my ears. Yeah, and now the question. So basically, I would say I'm almost completely a software guy. Okay. So the first maybe, wait, that's 10 years of the project of Fragments. I was basically very proud of the fact that I didn't use any synths at all. It's all um, manipulated sounds. Okay, so no synths, no plugins, nothing. So I do use software, but I didn't use synths. Now with the last two albums, I did use some synths. I use a Volca, a small Volca, um, Volca keys. Sometimes, if I feel like, and if I feel like, sorry, sometimes I use the Monotribe. That's also something that I use sometimes, but mostly I would say I'm a software guy. I feel very well in Ableton Live. I have my time there. I can manipulate ad absurdum. Just spend fucking 2 years on a track if I need to. That's why I mean my output is, considering nowadays standards, quite sparse. It's not something that, I mean, I'm not Nordbarger. No offense to Nordbarger, but
His
um,
albums they get too far
it's
ahead
just
of me.
it's just too much. It's
I'm like
just too
I'm
much
like
stuff.
thinking about one to review just for everybody listening. If you release an album, and I have to think about it for like 6 months what I want to say about it, and then you release another album before I get to talk about the last one. I get to a point where I'm like, I don't know if I can do anything with this because like I hadn't got to talk about the last one yet, and now there's another one, and so yeah, I mean from a reviewer's perspective, that can be really hard when people have like constant output because
Yeah.
you feel like you stop paying attention for 10 minutes and you get like 10 albums behind. So yeah, I think
However,
it's to each their own, but I think there's definitely something to be said to take some time between releases.
however, 90% of Nordbarger's output is gold.
Yeah,
So actually,
and
I'm
the
sorry
same thing with
not
Perrin, his
to be
Hypnagoga
able
stuff.
to, not to be able to keep track of all his shit.
And it can be
It's
very expensive as a fan, Thine Angel says, yeah.
you bet, you bet, yeah.
Yeah.
So really, no offense to Nordbarger, he's done amazing albums, really amazing albums. It's just too much. There's just too many.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm speaking in general, not definitely not calling out Nordbarger. But yeah, just it kind of can be a funny thing where I'm like, okay, I'm about to write about this album, and then they're like, hey, check out my new album, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
um Yeah, but I mean, certain people that can definitely work out pretty nicely. Um,
Yes, I'm just reading the comments for the first time now. Yeah. You're right. Embers Below Zero. Yes, the first couple of Philius albums were released by Eternal Soul. Yeah, yeah, a legendary. I think defunct label. Uh, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, so not to beat a dead horse because I know you've talked about this before. You definitely talked about it in Danica's interview, but I thought it would be interesting because to me, I had no idea what was going on with your sounds. I knew that in your earlier stages you were much heavier, and then you became not heavy in the same like metal kind of way. So,
mhm.
would you just like to talk a little? And you've kind of said to me some funny stuff behind the scenes that I don't know if you'd want to like say or not about your that transition for you and how you felt about it. But yeah,
Sure,
if you just want to
absolutely,
talk about
absolutely. Yeah,
why
sure.
you were where you were when you started, why you went into the other direction, and
Mhm.
what the process in the middle felt like for you.
Okay, okay. So basically, my debut, Homo Homini Lupus, was quite, I would say, diverse, and there was some marching percussion, and I wasn't really aiming to be labeled as like a martial industrial project. And then I released The Burning World, my second album, and then this still was labeled as martial industrial. I always preferred to use the term orchestral industrial because that was what I wanted to sort of merge. That was a primary idea from the start, to merge orchestral and industrial elements, and the dark ambient somehow found a way into the whole thing. And then on Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood, there was like a kind of a pure dark ambient track, at least one. And then after, so Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood was a hit album. Okay, for me, a lot of
Yeah,
people got to know my project. This was my debut on Malignant Records.
that was your
It was
initial
all
classic.
Yeah, it was also because of that, but not only because of that. It was a really, and it's still, I still really consider it a strong album. There was a lot of emotion and just overall work um, that I put into it. I used vocals, which is yeah.
And they're
Um,
badass vocals, man.
thank you,
I really love your style on that. Uh,
thank you, thank you.
if you ever, did something like that again, I don't. But
Yeah,
as I
I
said,
might.
when you get 10 years down the road, it's like, man, I haven't screamed in a long time. I don't know what that's gonna sound like now.
I can still scream. I
Hell
can
yeah,
still scream.
hell yeah,
There is stuff that I need to scream out, so I can still scream.
hell yeah.
Anyway, and they basically, I started to shift towards kind of like a pure dark ambient sound, and there was I was on a path after Earth Shall Not Cover Their Blood where I had to choose. Like either I'm going to do the, another album in the same vein, or I'm just going to do something that no one expects. And of course, being the person I am, I decided to do something that no one expected, and I decided to go completely bare bone, minimal, um, dark ambient, and the result was New Kings and New Queens. And I don't want to say it was like I didn't mean to like provoke my fans or anything. I just wanted to try something different, and but of course, when people were hurt that this wasn't another Ursula Covered or Blood, I was like, yeah, well, fucking obviously, I had to, move somewhere. So yeah, and it was really minimal, and it was really like the antithesis. Yeah, I think that came out really well, right?
Oh yeah, I love this thing. That's why I was going
Yeah,
over there grabbing your releases.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
and
also grabbing something for somebody in chat here because they mentioned it a couple of times. I've got that shit on vinyl too. So do you know about this album and do you like this album? We'll just
what is that?
this is Visions and Furpa Monad. It's a more recent Cyclic
I
Law release.
I haven't heard that
They
one,
asked
but
twice, so I just wanted to go ahead and stick that in there, and then we can hop back into what you were saying.
I do love Visions, and I quite enjoyed FERPA live. I've seen them live. I've seen like a 3 hour concert.
Hell yeah.
Well, witnessed would be the a better term for that. Anyway, it was fucking intense.
And then this was the
Uh,
previous album that he was talking about here too, while I'm
yeah,
still cutting you off.
no, it's no problem. So yeah, and then I mean, dark ambient is a lot of fun. So, but I mean, I'm not your typical dark ambient artist. There are always things that are happening that reek of other genres. So yeah, I just do what I basically do what I want, do what I feel like, and then voila, there is the result. So yeah, All Towers Must Fall was kind of less minimal again. Yay!
This one's on vinyl. That's why it's so
Yeah,
fucking big. I
yeah,
love my vinyl. My vinyl All Towers Must Fall release. That shit's got a lot of play. Sorry, continue.
no problem. And then Anthems of Solitude is COVID. Okay,
Yeah.
Anthems of Solitude is my coping with COVID, and my kind of like a reaching hand to people that maybe also kind of wanted to cope the same way, or in the kind of a same vein, or yeah. So this is like my connection to other people, and it's about solitude, and it's not it got me thinking about solitude, and not necessarily in just like the negative aspects of solitude, just solitude in general, like what it means, and what's it all about, and how you can use it to grow, and how it eats your soul at other times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my kind of discussion with or about solitude. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's once again more dark ambient.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
That it's a
my
great
next
album.
album is going to be different, but yeah, let's talk about that maybe later.
Yeah, that
There are
would be
some
cool. Yeah, if you've got
more
some,
prospects.
I wasn't gonna push you on anything like that, but yeah, if you wanted to talk, or are you saying later in the stream or later in the year?
Later in the stream.
Cool,
Later
cool.
in the stream. Sure.
Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, I would love to hear about that. Yeah, so just to speak a little bit on what you were just saying there at the end, I was definitely going through my own sort of depression over these last 2 or so years. I've been really down, just not so much like personally depressed, but I just was having a hard way of knowing where to go with my This Is Darkness situation. I wasn't feeling that I was connecting with the audience the way that I had previously, in a lot of ways because of what Facebook is doing to our sort of business pages, and I sort of was not catching up on releases the way that I had been for the last 5 or so years before that, just making sure I heard everything. and somehow your albums, that latest album, just totally slipped through the cracks for me. I've listened to it like 15 times this week. I fucking love it. I really wish I would have found it the day it released,
Mm.
because it would, and like you're saying, I mean, you made it for people in exactly the situation I was in when I was ignoring it. And I needed to not ignore it because it was really good, and it was, not saying I was like, oh, I don't want to listen to Fragments, just I was leaving my inbox basically unread for a month
Yeah,
straight sometimes. And then when you hit
yeah,
it again, it's just like, where do I even start? So now I'm like picking up the pieces on things, trying to get back into it. But yeah, I think it's I think it's really cool that you did an album like that. And for me, it's I totally appreciate your concept of the solitude thing. I mean, in some ways it can be depressing and lonely, and in other ways it's a time for you to reflect on your life, on what you've already done, what you want to do, who you are as a person yourself,
yeah,
not who you are to other people.
yeah,
And there's a lot of learning that can be done when you're just in solitude, and it doesn't always have to be a negative thing, though
yeah,
it can definitely, be expressed in a dark sort of way, but it
yeah.
doesn't always have to be a sadness.
No, no, totally, totally. I totally agree, and thank you for the nice feedback. I totally agree with that. It's not something that needs to be expressed in a negative way or even experienced in a negative way. However, of course, I mean, filtered through me, of course, it's gonna be fucking dark because that's what I
Yeah.
love. So that's my vocabulary.
Even when
So
you're in a
yeah,
positive space,
yeah, totally,
you're still in a
man.
darkness.
Listen, if I'm like down, depressed or something, I can't compose. Okay, I can't. It's like I don't even think about music. I can barely listen to music.
Yeah, that's how I
So
am with writing. I end up
yeah,
I find like I have like Cheers and Frasier are my go-to TV shows when I just say fuck
yeah,
the world. I need
yeah.
positivity in my life. I need to laugh, and I will just binge watch like the entire series of Cheers. Just like I just want to hang out in the bar with those guys. I don't want to think about my own life.
I get
So
that. I totally get that. Yeah. So more. Is there anything else? Ah, okay. Yeah, that's Trebek. Uh, yeah, Scontrum Act, I think 8.
what's that?
Nah, yeah, I'm just reading the last comment.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, that yeah, Embers Below Zero got acquainted with my stuff on Scontrum. That's yeah, of course, Premek. I mean, I mean, I
Premic. Is that right?
I
Premic?
speak Semitic, but that's I
Okay,
mean
see.
I don't
I'm
really
so
speak
fucking
Polish, but I can totally speak Polish if I need to after like 5 years. Totally. I understand 90% of Polish fucking neighbors.
bad.
Anyway, and the language is very very similar. So you just need a bit of you need to be kind of like a bit drunkish to get into it.
That's
But
funny.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Scontrum was that's like a very limited wooden box thing where it's like a three-way split, and it's yeah, that's quite kind of martial. But my part is I prefer to call it orchestral. One other thing. Uh, One of the main reasons that I always wanted to avoid the Marshall moniker was because of all the fascists in the scene. I mean, that's something that I will never accept, never ever ever. And yeah, so I just didn't want to be lumped into the same kind of ball with these like you know cringeworthy projects that are provocative provocative, but I mean,
to say the
I think
least.
most of them are fascist, anyway,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
in their hearts.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah, I try as hard as I can to keep my own politics out of my zine, but yeah, I agree.
No, I don't.
That spills the
I never
beans, but
keep
I agree.
politics out of anything. That's just you know,
Yeah.
that's life is politics, so everything is politics.
Yeah, that's
So
true. Yeah, I mean that was a decent bit of your focus there again in Danica's interview, and
yeah,
I really did enjoy hearing you talking about those topics. We did have another question here from Thine Angel. They asked, when writing, do you have an outline or what you want to make? Do you have music in your head, or do the songs come through improvisation?
very interesting. Um, kind of B. Okay, B is the answer. I mean, I do have an image, but it's not like a map of the song. Never a map of the song. I do have an emotion or just images popping in my mind. I have an idea, but that's just the beginning. Like the song can turn in like I mean the song can turn like 180 degrees in the process. So and then I delete. You know, when I get angry, I I get angry a lot when I just do stuff that I love.
Yeah.
um, I'm just impulsive. Yeah, it's it's really it's really hard sometimes when you expect that something is going to go smooth and then it doesn't go smooth, but then at the end it's always kind of worth it, or I just delete it. You
Yeah.
know, so
That's funny.
yeah, but definitely like I let the music live. Now, of course, it's still me. You know, it's not something like it's not outside of me. It's just maybe I let the deeper levels of my psyche talk there.
Yeah.
I love to work with chaos. Okay, I'm like a quite organized person, like a normally organized person, but I love a pinch of chaos, you know,
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
whole thing. I love chaos. Okay. I think chaos is really important for creativity, for life, for that matter. I don't want to get too philosophical here, but I think chaos is really something that needs to be, focused on when you create something. Because I don't think anything was created without that pinch, like anything worthy was created without the pinch of chaos, without the pinch of chance, chance. So yeah. So I let kind of chaos take the wheel and the steering wheel, and then yeah, and then something comes out of it, and then I either like it or not, and then I sort of tweak it and work with it, and it takes a lot of time. Like my composition process is almost exclusively long. Okay, really long. Now, of course, now I don't have time because I have two kids and a lovely wife, and I just prefer to focus on my family because yeah, that's number one, and then music is number two, and then career number three.
Yes.
So I don't have that much time, but the time I have, I really try to focus, and I really try to kind of let the music lead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that really resonates with me. That was a thing that was one of the things that I was struggling with, is really like learning how to harness my chaos. Because a lot of the writing that I've done in the past, I feel like if I don't have a plan going in, then I shouldn't get started. But the best writing that I've ever done always happens when I just sit down and just shit starts coming out, and then I get to the end and I'm like, where did that come from? You know,
Mm.
it just the
Yeah.
chaos and the inspiration just take hold and they go where they want to go. And I was listening to Tarantino talking the other day in an interview, and he was describing the way that he had made his different characters in different films,
Mm.
and it sort of goes along the same concept, I think, where it's like you flesh out the very beginning of that first sort of little idea, and then you let that idea teach you what it is, and then once you
Yes.
understand what the idea is telling you, then you just hold on and let it take you wherever it leads, and you don't
Yes.
tell it where to go. You listen to it and you follow it where it's taking you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that sounds a bit like what you were saying there.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's any other questions here that I should mention. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thine Angel says sometimes something beautiful can come out from the mistakes as well, and yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's true.
Mistakes, cracks, chaos. Definitely.
Yeah, and Danica says the writing works that way for her as well.
Mm.
That's cool. Yeah, it's I think a lot of writers you think that you need to know what you're going to write about. You think that you need to like in your head be like before you ever write your first dark ambient album, for instance, like you
Yeah.
have to tell yourself, oh, I know that I'm about to have this masterpiece and it's all in my head and all I have to do is translate it into sounds. And it's like, no. I mean, maybe for some people, but I think, yeah, for a lot of us, you don't know what's going to happen until you sit down and start making it. And then it starts to take its own direction.
Yeah. And I love the
Cheers from
process.
Norway. Yes. Thanks for being here, Ketzel. Um, and
Hey, Shettle. It's actually
Yeah,
Shettle.
see, I'm fucking horrible at pronunciations,
It's
and I
okay.
have to know like,
It's okay.
oh my god, there's so many languages. We were talking about
It's
that the
okay.
other day. Once you get like 16 languages in, then you just are good to go. But I'm still stuck on one.
Yeah.
um, Matej, could you tell a few words about the show you gave in a tram in broad daylight a few weeks
Ah,
ago? I think it's a
yeah.
brilliant idea of a show.
Sure. Sure. Okay. So this was a. It's actually like an art space here in Bratislava. The guys, it's funny. So much of this underground scene here is really punk and DIY. And I think Przemek is going to know what I'm talking about because he also comes from an ex-communist country where you just gotta figure out shit. You know, we're really good at figuring out shit because we had to.
Yeah.
So and there's always this level of like disorganized fucking chaos, not the good chaos, okay, the bad chaos. So you gotta make ends meet somehow. But the guys bought the tram for like 800 euro. Okay, like a 1,200 bucks. Okay, the fucking tram, and they turned it into a venue, basically.
That sounds awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I so enjoyed, I so enjoyed to play there. And actually, I played there as not as Fragments, but as Gyarfas and Brankovic, which it's Nenad Brankovic is my kind of like a live partner in Fragments, has been for the last few years. He also designs my covers.
Yeah, maybe you would like to talk about him a little bit once you are done
I
here.
love. He's my brother. He's really awesome. He's a visual artist and he makes amazing things. And he's of Serbian origin, but basically lives in Slovakia for years now. And yeah, I mean, we've jammed together, we've played together, we've composed together, um, and yeah, he's just a a total soulmate.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we played just to be more free. We played as like under our surnames, and we played a set, and obviously it was dark ambient. But we played a completely improvised set, which was really nice, and the venue was just amazing. I'm kind of sorry that it was in broad daylight, but still, I mean, it was fun, and it was really hot that day, and but we had a lot of fun. We played for like 30 people, which is like your normal experimental music crowd here in my town,
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
so
that when you're talking about smaller genres, 30 people is like a that's why when you said 200 at the other concert, I was like, shit, that's a big crowd.
yeah,
It's
in
not like
US
you
it's
don't pull in
well,
thousands when you're talking about
I know.
industrial, post-industrial, dark ambient, like it's not happening like that. Especially here, you know. Um,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
lucky if
especially in the
we're lucky
US.
if we can get
Especially,
30 to 50 people in a bar to
I
check
know.
out a dark ambient concert around here.
I'm so sorry for you guys in the US.
So am
That's
I,
just
thank you.
how shit works. Like I mean I know the US quite well. I've lived there. Uh, it's yeah, like some things are good, some things are bad, and but this really sucks. Like
Yeah.
this really sucks. Like there's like no pinch of chaos, and that's also why there is no way to really like organize stuff like this, and there is no like abandoned buildings where you could really, I mean, you can go there, but
The few
then the
abandoned
police
buildings
is
that
going
there
to
are
come.
around here, they're usually like monitored 24 hours a day. So even if
Of
you had
course,
the adventure, like there's going to be
of
somebody
course they are.
standing there to tell you, you aren't
I
coming in
know.
here, are you? And it's like, oh no, sir, of course not. I'm actually headed right back home. There's a
Yeah.
really badass mental hospital down the road.
Mhm.
Old asylum. It is fucking beautiful and all deteriorated, and you can't come near that place. There is
Yeah,
just
of course.
cameras all around, and there's like 24-hour a day patrols around the building too. So
Mhm.
yeah, all of
Yeah.
the places like that, there's not enough of them here for it to be able for you to like go
Mhm.
have check it out on your own like you can over there in Europe. I always get like I love that free to roam law that there is in a lot of European countries. That is just
No, Alman's red, and that's Scandinavia. That's
yeah, okay,
Scandinavia.
that's
Yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
Scandinavia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
Scandinavia.
tell people about that and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're not fucking anything up and you're not breaking the law while you're on people's property and you clean up after yourself."
Exactly.
Like that's what I was telling people. When you're here and everything is private property, when teenagers go onto that private property, they know that they're already breaking the law. They know that the people own that land don't want them there. So they come in with this sort of punk mentality where they're like, fuck this place. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'll fucking burn down whatever. I'll fucking break this thing. It's this other person's and they don't even want me to enjoy it. So fuck it. And when you got a place like Scandinavia where it's free to roam, you feel like these people are, I'm on their property. I need to be nice on their property. I'm allowed to be here. I can have fun here as long as I clean up after myself. And if I mean from an outsider at least, it seems to me like that's more or less how people do it. And I really,
Mhm.
really love that concept. I wish I could just go wander, just say, I'm going to go in that direction. And as long as you don't break any laws, then you could just walk, just keep walking and walking and walking. But
Obviously,
I,
I
I,
mean,
I
makes
pick a
sense,
direction
right?
here and you get like a half a
Yeah,
mile and you're going to hit something that says, okay, you can't go this way any longer.
yeah, 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 yeah.
um,
Then Eastern Europe is your friend, brother.
yeah. Yeah, Eastern Europe sounds like
Still,
a cool place. I
still
mean,
chaos.
there's obviously a lot of bad history and things in various
Yeah,
places, but
yeah.
yeah, I would be interested in checking out a lot of it.
It's
And I hear that your city has a lot of abandoned castles,
the
and
the
stuff like
the
that.
country. The
Just the
country
country
has
as
the
a whole,
most.
yeah.
The country has the most ruins per square whatever mile. In your case,
Yeah.
in Europe. So yeah, yeah. There's a lot of just and overall a lot of forests and a lot of castles, and yeah,
Yeah, here's
some
a
of it is
pretty
really shit, but yeah, there are nice things here. Definitely, definitely, and that's why I love the festival that I was talking about in the beginning.
mhm.
You know, because they just focus on castles and on castles in decay, and it has like a secondary motivation as well. It's not only like let's fucking go to this castle and then just squat it for 3 days and just enjoy it and then go away. No, 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 no. There's always even in the case of the illegal concert that I mentioned, basically for I think 1 or 2 days prior to the concert, to the concert night.
Hmm.
There was people went there, the organizers and their friends, and they cut down all the bushes and trees and basically um, um, got rid of all the trash that was there. And so it also had like this like constructive level, you
Yeah,
know.
so they kind of left it in a better place than they even found it.
Totally.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
and they packed the trash into these like huge bags, and they left it at the local church because it belongs to the church, you know. And it's like, okay, this is your shit to deal with, and that's so nice, you know. And that's so kind of
That's hilarious.
so much better than like burning the church or
That's
something
so
like
fucking
that, you
funny.
know.
Yeah,
that's that's like, you deal with this shit, you
that's
know,
great.
it's yours. And yeah, so that's nice. I like this kind of subversive action. That's
Yeah,
really
that is
something
like
I,
a really comical and constructive and non-confrontational way of doing it. I really enjoy
yeah.
that.
But it's still like a fuck you, you know, like what the hell are you doing?
Where's all
Yeah,
this trash come from? That's your trash. You should do
yeah,
something about that.
exactly.
We brought it to you.
Exactly.
We brought you your trash. Now get rid of it for yourselves. And don't make
Yeah.
it happen again, church. God doesn't like your trash. Yeah, so here's a pretty interesting question. I don't know if you'll have necessarily an answer, but it's interesting nonetheless. Do you guys do any manual crafts? I think there
Oh,
might be a connection between the love for dark ambient and doing stuff like woodwork and leather work. This music just works for that type of works.
I wish.
Yeah, that's sort
I
of where I'm at.
wish. I wish. I mean, I chop wood when I'm at my cottage. Um, I do like, the only thing that I do like manual stuff is for my kids now in these years.
Hmm.
No, no, unfortunately not, because I like to get carried away by doing manual stuff. Definitely, like it's so good for your mental health and just overall. It's really nice to craft something, to create something with your hands, and to see this like instant. And it's not only the instant gratification; it's basically like an instant feedback of the world,
Hmm.
you know, where you start to work on something, and you work on it with your hands, and then you have the finished thing in your hands, and it's an undescribable feeling. It's a really really nice feeling. So I totally get manual crafts, but unfortunately no, no, not at this point.
Cool. And then here's another interesting question. I think you probably would. You talked to me about this already at least. Sorry if the question is too personal. Don't answer if you don't want to,
Sure,
but your last name sounds Hungarian. Are you of
sure,
a
sure, sure.
Hungarian origin? I know there's
Yeah,
a Hungarian diaspora in Slovakia.
sure. Okay. So basically, if you check out where Slovakia is on the map, it's in the middle, and there is like a very kind of rich genetic fund here. Like there is blonde people and just dark haired people, and just, you know, all over the place, because this was a crossroads and everybody sort of left their semen here. So we're a mix, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely of Hungarian origin, because well, you know, it's kind of half or whatever, quarter or 1/8. I don't speak Hungarian. I only curse Hungarian because some of the curse words are the same in our language.
That's funny.
It's like half of the curse words are Hungarian and half of the curse words are Polish, because it's like Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. You know, it's like so. But I can curse in most of the languages in the world. So that's where I learn always. You know, as the first thing. So yeah, I do have Hungarian origin. My last name is Hungarian. No one can fucking pronounce my last name here in Slovakia. I've been confronted with this for 41 years, and it sucks. But definitely, I mean, I don't speak Hungarian, so the Slovaks are like Hungarian, and the Hungarians are like, how the fuck are you not able to speak Hungarian? I'm like, sorry, I'm just
Yeah.
sorry. Anyway, yeah, I'm just joking here, but so it's like a mix here. So yeah, sure. But I do understand Polish.
Awesome.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah, so
sure.
Fenazord says thanks for the answer to my question regarding the manual crafts. I hope you'll get curious enough to check whittling. Um,
What is whittling?
Whittling is like when you take like a small piece of wood, like my Palo Santo here,
Ah,
and
yeah,
then just sort of like cut it into maybe like a
yeah. I
monk
see
or
that now.
something.
I never, dude, I never even saw that word written.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I know because one of my friends is big into whittling. Um,
I mean, what I do now is like spares and arrows for the kids,
well, that's cool. That's cool.
definitely.
That
And
could
I
that could
did
be
a
useful
sword.
in the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, totally, totally. So I do have a good knife now, but no, but I always wanted, and I did that when I was a kid. Definitely, I'm a. I mean, I was always into fantasy and just medieval images and all these things. So I was totally into like if like LARPing was around when I was a kid, I would totally LARP. I
Yeah,
was totally Dungeons and Dragons. I was the dungeon master for years.
hell yeah.
I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with my wife alone, me being the dungeon master, her being the hero win of the story. We've been playing for 3 years.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very, very strange. We haven't played for, you know, 17 years now. So, but anyway, I was totally into this stuff. So the whittling is totally a part of that.
Man, that could be another really interesting thing. There's probably a lot of dark ambient artists and fans that are probably into Dungeons and Dragons, and over the pandemic, well, maybe a little bit before it, a couple of my friends moved out to California, and
Mm,
it's really simple, maybe even better at this point, playing D&D online. That
okay.
could be a really interesting thing to get some different like people from the community together and have like a dark ambient D&D campaign. That could be something to think about for the future to get some, I don't know, just on people that are already interested in that kind of thing, of course. But yeah, that could be
Yeah,
fun. Yeah, I mean, I've done some D&D. I've done some rough DMing cuz I DM'd before I had ever played an actual game. I had to
nice,
DM to get my friends to play with me, you know what I mean?
nice.
I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm
whatever
gonna make this happen. But yeah, I haven't
whatever
played in a
works.
few years. Um, so yeah, I have one. I'm just gonna read this question off here of mine. You've mentioned that there's a lot of room in the various metal scenes for discovery of dark ambient. Would you expand on this idea a little and maybe give people some pointers on how they can help in this process?
Sure. Okay, so basically, years ago, I was totally persuaded that metalheads. I mean, I'm a metalhead. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Hell yeah.
so I was totally persuaded that metalheads have to discover dark ambient because they're gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
A
That's what I
part of
thought
them
when
is
I found
totally
it.
gonna love it because it's the vocabulary is different, but the topics and the emotion are the same or very kind of similar.
So close.
So I mean, it helps if you're into like doom metal or just the slower stuff, so that you can appreciate these like huge monstrous waves of things happening, and then of course it's just a small step to like going completely beatless and just letting it flow, which is dark ambient. So yeah, I was totally in the early 2000s. I was like, shit, why isn't it happening? And then it started to happen. So right now, I think it's happening, and it's really good now. With like a lot of the metalheads um, getting into dark ambient. They have to be open, obviously. Like their head has to be open
Hmm.
to be able to perceive that and to be able um, to experience it without prejudice. You know, yeah, it needs you need to be kind of mature or like ripe. You don't need to be old necessarily. You just need to be mature. Someone matures when they're 18.
Hmm.
Someone matures when they're 45. So I'm not talking about age
I
here.
still
I
haven't got
mean,
there yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I always say, mentally, I'm 41 years old, but mentally I'm 17, and I'm
Yeah.
keeping that. So yeah, 17 with experience. so yeah.
I totally
So
resonate with what Thine Angel just said. Don't, you can hop back in, sorry, but he says, I think it's
no
because
problem.
we metalheads get older and we need to mellow out from our headbanging sessions.
Sure.
I totally appreciate that. I'm like, I can't listen to metal without screaming and headbanging. And the older I get, the less I want to scream and headbang. And it's like, fuck, I literally told myself, you have to stop listening to metal music. You give yourself a headache every time you do it. And like I forced myself to stop because I was just like, I can't
Yeah.
not go 100.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still, when I have the chance and when there is no COVID, well, before COVID, I used to go to at least like one metal show per month.
Nice.
And but I have to say it was mostly like grindcore and black metal. Like I went really for the extreme, and there is no more like like shame. I'm always in front of the band. I don't care anymore because I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
And I headbang like crazy, and yes, of course, and then it hurts the next day like hell. But I'm so happy. So
that's awesome.
I just enjoyed, but of course, COVID just killed all of that. So let's see if that's gonna happen anytime soon. Anyway, back to the question. I think yeah, I truly believe in like the laissez-faire approach, which translates to let do. It's from French. Let like do what thou wilt.
Hell yeah.
So it's like especially in terms of art and especially in terms of music. I truly believe that people should be allowed to choose whatever they want to listen to, even if that's shit. In my opinion, I don't care, man. It's their choice and it's their life, and you have one life, not two or three. So you better you better do what you love.
Yeah,
So
experience it to the fullest.
yeah. So I'm not gonna force anyone, but I did kind of mm, persuade people to try uh, for a lot of years, and I also had like some when I was still an academic. I also like had some lectures on like dark music and metal and dark ambient and stuff. So
That's awesome.
so I really tried. Now I don't have the time for that. But yeah, I mean, I do publish stuff. I do kind of offer stuff to people, of course, that I think that might resonate with them. So yeah, just try. But of course, on the other hand, I mean, do we really want to for dark ambient to be like, I mean, I'm not saying mainstream, but like really popular? I know I
It
don't.
would definitely
And,
change everything.
right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't want to sound elitist or anything. It's just that it's the underground works, and it works, and and then there is experiments, and it's daring, or there is like no fucking experiments, and people do the same fucking thing for 20 years, which is very kind of daring
Yeah.
of itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? In nowadays age, to do the same fucking thing, without with like no concern of your like number of listens on fucking Spotify or shit. I hate that. Bandcamp, okay? Bandcamp, yay!
Yeah,
Spotify,
Bandcamp
no.
is our friend. The
Yeah,
ability
Bandcamp
to
is our
click follow on Bandcamp and know that every single release that that artist ever does again will be sent to your email box. That
yeah,
is so powerful.
yeah,
That's what I like about Twitch. People get when you click the follow button, you get the email, and then you get
yeah,
to decide whether you want to join the chat or whether you want to
yes,
buy the album. It's not left in some other algorithm or corporation's hands. The fan gets to say, "Do I watch this tonight? Do I listen to this tonight?" It's
yeah,
only you always get that choice yourself.
yeah. Speaking about follow, please, I want to speak to everyone here today. Guys, follow this channel, okay? Michael is not going to say this because he's just too humble. Please follow the channel. It's really gold for me, and I'm not saying this as a friend of Michael or as a fan of his work. I really like the channel, and I really like what he's doing with the channel. So, and there's just a lot of information, and there's things even for like old dark ambient heads like me. I get re-inspired to re-listen to some releases that I haven't been listening to for quite a while. So I really urge you to just follow and listen to what he's gonna say.
I appreciate
Sorry,
that. Thank you.
we haven't
Um,
planned this. Sorry, but I had to.
um, Yeah, thank you too, Danica. You guys are. I'm stuttering now. um, if
Let it sink in.
Fenazor does have a question here. I mean, I guess it's worth answering. Why is Spotify bad? Please explain. I really don't know. Should I switch to Bandcamp? You can talk about that, or I will. It doesn't really matter. I mean, um,
Yeah.
I think me personally,
Well,
I do listen to Spotify all the time, but I try. I mean, if you don't want to you don't want to get in a situation where you're like, I'm paying Spotify, therefore I don't need to pay the artists, because Spotify isn't making the music, the artists are making the music. And second to that, Spotify doesn't always show you what's happening new. If you can't follow a record label at all on Spotify. If you love Cyclic Law Records, you won't know that there's a new Cyclic Law release unless you're already following that artist. And then that artist will not know that you love their album if you're only giving it a couple clicks over there on Spotify. So I would
yeah.
say that you shouldn't, if you love Spotify, and I do, I mean, I hate it as a company, but I love it as a convenience. But I try to always like, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that you aren't that you're not just sort of like kicking the artist off to the side for your own convenience. If you don't want to buy an album and you only want to listen on Spotify, go over to their Bandcamp page and see if they have a T-shirt. Go
Yeah.
if you don't want to buy a physical release or the digital release, maybe you can buy some other merch that they have. Or at the very, very least, go follow every single one of the artists that you like, every single label that you like on Bandcamp, just so you know that when their new releases come out, and then you can make a decision from album to album whether you want to buy it there. I don't feel that you have to just delete your Spotify, but you have to supplement it if you want to help the scene stay alive and you want the artists that you love to know that you love them. It's so much less important to an artist to see that their play count went from 1700 to 1701 than it is to see somebody bought the album, now their profile picture is underneath of the album's image on Bandcamp, and then you can leave a review there and tell all of the other people that might stop by that page why you love it, how much you love it, what your
Yes.
favorite track is. There's so much social integration into Bandcamp in a very communal way, a way that doesn't put anybody above anybody else. A person that just found a project for the very first time can go onto that Bandcamp page and be the first person to leave that comment and say why they love that album, and then everybody might just say, hell yeah, I'm gonna get it too, and it could be your first experience with the artist. So there's
Yeah.
a level of connection that's so much greater on Bandcamp. So that's the reason to me.
Yeah. But at the same time, the social aspect on Bandcamp is done in a very kind of discreet way. It's like not pushing you to do anything. It's not like social network. It's like very kind of in the background. Like you don't need to read it if you don't want to. I'm really happy, Michael, that you said what you said, because I'm much more radical in this. I boycott Spotify. I don't have it installed. I've never had it installed. I use MP3s that I have from. I mean, I don't listen to CDs anymore. Not really. Very very rarely. But I rip them, and I have them on my hard drive. Yeah, I know it's so 2000s or whatever, but
I do it too
that's
sometimes.
that's just me. I have them in my phone, on my card, on my memory card. Um, but the most important thing is, I think, about Spotify, and it's just the clearest reason. Look, with Spotify, the artists don't get money. With Bandcamp, they do.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
That's it. Nothing
Especially in
more.
this genre, if you're like Taylor Swift and people are clicking your album like 5 million times, then yeah, she'll
Yeah.
get a little something something off of it. But if you have a 2,000 fan max fan base, let's say 5 or 10,000 tops, like that's probably pushing it pretty high in the dark ambient scene. You will never ever get to numbers that will give you more than like 25 cents. Like, you are
Yeah.
never going to get paid from Spotify.
Yeah.
But if you go over there and spend $10 on the album, I would say that the artist is going to get roughly 9.50. Maybe that's too high, but
It's
it's,
no,
it's
it's less, but whatever. If I get like 250 per album, it's not about the money. It's about the feeling that someone has actually paid and has kind of returned the favor, you
yeah,
know. And I don't need. Look, I was like, I don't mind downloading at all. I don't mind if people download my music and listen to it for free. I don't mind at all. If it spreads, this is not my income. Okay, this is not. That would be foolish, obviously. And I decided to not make this my um, source of income 20 years ago. So I don't care. I basically um, I have work, and then I have music, and music is my hobby. Of course, it's my love and it's my life, but it's my hobby still in the financial sense. So,
and you
but
give yourself more
still,
flexibility that way, so
yeah, yeah, totally. But still, I do appreciate when someone shows his or her affection by spending a bit of money. You know,
mhm.
it's like a binding thing in this day and age where everything is like 30 seconds on YouTube, and then next, 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 next.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that we are bound. I don't need the money. I spend it on my next release. I spend it on shirts or shit.
Yeah,
I
hell yeah.
just it's like a different fund sort of, for me. So yeah. So I think that's why Bandcamp. And but I mean, I don't judge. I try. I do judge, but I try not to judge too much. The older I get, the less I try to judge. So if Spotify suits you, I don't need you to boycott Spotify. Um, it's just that Bandcamp is better for us,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
us.
I think we can leave it at that. I think we've
Yep.
So
Yes.
we're getting closer here to the end of the 2 hours. So why don't you go ahead and talk about what you can say for us with your next album, and then maybe we can wrap
Yes.
it up there after that.
Okay. Okay. So next album, I'm very excited. The next album is going to be a concept album. It's going to be entitled. I already know the title. It's going to be entitled "Those Who Worship the Stars,"
Hell yeah.
and it's going to be a concept album. I'm not going to talk about the concept yet. But it's a mythological concept, and it's something that I made up. It's something. It's a different thing. Okay, it's different from all of my albums. I'm right now. I have several tracks that I have, in production, I would say, and I in the past I was always I needed to finish an album before I started to work on the cover art. Okay, now it's different. Now I decided to find an artist. I found a different artist, one of my acquaintances here from my town, and I decided to work with him on the cover prior to actually finishing the songs because I need the artwork to inspire me to do the music. So I decided to kind of twist it around a bit and let's see where that gets me. And I want to have guests because Anthems of Solitude was just myself.
Mhm.
I need guests now. I need more brains and more hearts to kind of you know um, to share their input and to make it different, unexpected. So I'm thinking of I'm not going to say the name, but I'm thinking of getting in touch with a female singer that I really admire. Let's see how that goes. And I also want to work with several of my dark ambient friends um, to for them to like chip in and just work on a couple of the tracks maybe with me. And yeah, I'm so excited. When uh, with this concert, it really got me started again.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, on like Fragments never sleeps. Okay, it's always like almost every day somewhere in my head. But this time I'm really inspired, and I really wanna do something great. Yeah, and you can expect some live instrumentation as well. Most probably classical instrumentation, but I don't wanna get too much into the future because I don't know where the artwork is going to, sort
Where
of
it's gonna
push
take
me.
you.
Yeah, so let's see where that goes. But I'm really looking forward to the album as release date, label, no idea at this
Yeah,
point.
that's what I figured. It's
Let's
probably
see.
too soon for that.
Let's see. Yeah, too soon, and I don't really. I mean, um, I think it's gonna be like realistically. I think it's gonna be, and I know myself already, so I think it's gonna be released probably next year,
Cool.
and I definitely not this year, and definitely not in 2023. Uh, if that's if something doesn't hinder the process. So let's see about that. And label wise, I mean, I can release it myself with the like tiny amount of physical copies that I sell. I can release it myself. Um, I have the found funds for that, so yeah, I'm completely confident to, you know, to release it and to get it to my fans. So people who follow me. So let's see. Maybe I'm gonna offer it to some label. Let's see.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so I mean, I think if you have any final words that you want to say, I don't, if there's something that's burning in your head that you want to get out before we finish up here, you could go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and wrap it up.
I still have a couple of shirts.
That's why I was
so if,
mentioning the
so,
shirts.
so if anyone's interested, yeah. No,
Well, that's
I
not
just
why
don't.
I was mentioning it, but I did see that you had
Oh,
shirts and I did see that you were
yeah,
wearing one. So I was thinking, yeah, well, he's got
yes,
shirts. So that's why I
I'm
said
wearing
the
one, but
shirts.
this is like
If
a
you,
1/1 edition. I think I might do these because it's like very pure, and yeah, I think I might do these in like a series.
yeah, that's a really
But
awesome look.
yeah, but I do have merch, but I don't force anyone to do anything. If you look, I make music for myself. Okay, it sounds cliche, but I
It's
really
how you
do
have to
make.
do it.
I do make music for myself. If people love it, I'm not gonna say I don't love the feeling. If someone else loves it, of course I do. But it's just important for me to create music and to get it out of my system. But if someone enjoys it, someone buys my shit, I'm very happy.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
and I mean, to all you people who were here today, I'm really grateful and really happy. Don't 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 forget to click that fucking follow button. And no, because there is amazing material here, and there's gonna be amazing material here, and I'm looking forward to meet with you, Michael, again here to play a concert or something like that. You know? So
Yeah,
just
yeah. It should be a lot of interesting things in the future. Whatever comes up. I mean, this is like an interactive TV show. That's how
yeah,
I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better interview. I was slightly intimidated with our 2 hour mark. I was like, maybe we should have kept it to 1 hour. Am I gonna run out of
so
questions? But
I can
you
talk for
you
an
have
hour
all sorts of
more.
great things to talk about, and I really do. I want to thank everybody in chat that asked questions. You guys made that aspect once I started to see the questions roll in, I was a lot calmer because I'm like, oh, we'll definitely get to the 2 hour mark. No worries.
Yeah,
So yeah, thank you guys all so much for asking the questions. Thank you, Matej, for coming on here. Everybody, all these people that have stopped in here over this last month while I've just been chaotically going live whenever I want and trying to figure out what I want to do with this thing. Yeah, Danica's posting the interview that she did with Matej there in the chat. So I highly recommend you guys go over there to her in Darkament Substack, and you can get into even more detail about the various things that's going on with Matej and his philosophies and deeper into the project. I learned a lot over there. Go to sort of prep me for this interview. So it's a and I tried not to cover the same questions that she did any more than I had to. So yeah, it's a really great read, and it's certainly not the only great read over there. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Danica's and Dark and Minute Substack. And yeah, so yeah, again, thank you guys all so much for being here. And I think we could probably go ahead and call it a night here. Sound good to you, Matej?
yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks again to everybody. Can't thank you guys enough. It's really, really been awesome hanging out with you all, and we'll keep doing this thing. So, any artists in here, hit me up, and you can get over there on the other side of the screen where Matej's at, and we'll do this thing again. You don't have to go for a whole 2 hours if you don't want to, but me and him both have plenty of. We can talk all day. So,
Yep.
yeah, man. So, we'll go ahead and say goodbye to you all. Have a great night. Peace.